Hey everybody, good evening, and welcome to For Your Information number 9. I'm your host for tonight, Collin Knopp-Schwyn.
And I'm your co-host, Elizabeth Federoff.
In some ways, we're both the co-hosts.
True.
We're going to start the show off tonight with a quick preview for an upcoming show that The Tank, the organization that's hosting us here, is producing in just a couple of days, actually. So this is a 2-minute preview for right now, right here at the Tank.
Hey, it's Nikki time. It's 5:49 in Harlem, New York, and right now, this is happening.
I'm home.
Is that my baby? Larry, it's our baby.
Son, we thought we lost you forever.
Nah, I caught the last chopper out of there.
This is incredible news.
And there's more.
More. I don't think I can handle more.
I want you to meet my wife.
What?
How did you meet?
Oh, we met on the other side of the pond and fell in love immediately. Well, you seem so sad.
We're just surprised is all, son. How do you do?
Nice to meet you.
Where are you from?
Italy.
How old are you?
22.
Wait, I fathered an illegitimate child in Italy just over 22 years ago.
It must be a coincidence.
She had a birthmark on the back of her neck.
I have a birthmark on the back of my neck.
No.
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 No!
Hey again, it's me, Nikki time. It's currently 5:48 in Harlem, New York, and that just happened. Be on the lookout for more right now at any moment.
Very fun.
Yeah.
Very fun preview.
I hadn't actually watched that video before tonight.
I could tell from your reaction.
So I didn't know what that was going to be, but that's right now. That's happening at the Tank on March 2nd. Check it out at thetanknyc.org. Thank you all so much for being here at For Your Information number 9. This is, as you can guess, the 9th one of these that we've done, and also the 7th one of these that we've done online since the pandemic started.
About 1 year. We're almost at the 1-year anniversary, I feel like.
I know. You gonna get the pandemic anything for the anniversary this year?
Oh, God. I don't know. Maybe like a little cute Hallmark card or something.
Oh.
Make a little homemade card.
This is For Your Information. This is a show, 4-minute presentations from people with a lot of niche, knowledge about niche interests that they really like to talk about. We have a great show for you this evening. We're just going to go through the presentations here. I've got the first one. We're going to be following that with a presentation by Hallie, Ayres, then Elise Durand, Aaron Linker, Abby Mahler, possibly, Robert Barbeau, Alex Cina-Bernard, Kev Berry, and finishing us off, it's Carinn Candelaria. During all of this, feel free to engage with the show in the chat over on YouTube there. We can pop questions up on the screen. We'll also have a question and answer section at the end of the performance. So if you have any questions for any of the performers, feel free to stick around and ask questions for that. And we'll bring them back on the screen and make sure they answer those questions to your liking.
Yeah.
Other features of the show, there is a secret judge somewhere in the audience. We know who it is.
We do.
Our presenters don't know who it is, though.
And they also don't know what the categories are.
That's right, so they can't pander to them. So I know what one of the categories is, actually.
I don't know what any of the categories are.
I don't know what the other one is going to be. So the secret judge will announce the winners at the end of the performance after the Q&A section is done. So stick around for that. I want to say thanks to Mike Presentes for engaging in the chat.
Yeah, thanks for engaging, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. All right, well, as I guess is customary, I'm going to go first here.
Yeah, Collin is the real tyrant of 4YI. I always have to go first.
I feel like it's good praxis. So
Sure.
Take us out here. Feel free to yell at me in the chat if I go too long. I'm going to try not to go on too long here. Let's talk a little bit about the United States copyright law. Here we go. American copyright law is the only kind of law that I find interesting, and I find it interesting because it's really weird and idiosyncratic and also bad. First, some definitions. Copyright is a protection for intellectual property, guaranteeing the creator the exclusive ability to license, sell, and adapt their own works. Copyright is related to, but distinct from, patents, which are for inventions, and trademarks, which protect distinctive elements of a product or service's brand, like a logo. When a work is no longer protected by copyright, it falls into the public domain, which means that anyone can now copy, resell, remix, and adapt it without having to get permission or pay anyone any fees. Things that may be subject to copyright protection include books, movies, TV shows, 2D and 3D visual art, architecture, scientific articles, product designs, websites, photography, and music. There are several reasons why a work might not be eligible for copyright protection. It may not meet the threshold of originality. Simple logos, which might be trademarkable, may not be eligible for copyright protection because they are not original enough. Faithful reproductions of two-dimensional works that are already out of copyright may not themselves be copyrighted. So those super high-quality scans of old artwork that Google has are totally free from protections. Finally, only works by humans may be copyrighted, so chimpanzee art and the monkey selfie cannot be copyrighted. Now, in general, copyrighted works fall into the public domain 95 years after their first US publication. You may have heard that The Great Gatsby, first published in 1925, finally became public domain this New Year's Day. However, there are a lot of works from later than 1925 that are actually also in the public domain. It may just take some sleuth work to figure out what exactly they are. Copyright law has been changed over time, often to extend the length of the standard copyright term or set new standards for publication and registration. For works published from 1926 to 1977 to still qualify for copyright protection, they had to have been published with a copyright notice, which consisted of the copyright holder's name, the word copyright or the copyright symbol, and the year. If you find a work published in this time period without a copyright notice, congrats, it's in the public domain. A famous example of this is the classic zombie movie Night of the Living Dead. Its original title was Night of the Flesh Eaters, but when its distributor changed the title, they forgot to replace the copyright notice on the new title card, and so the work has fallen into the public domain, which is a big part of why it appears on the TV in the background of many modern horror films. Also, works published from 1978 until March 1st, 1989, without a proper copyright notice, had 5 years to register from the US Copyright Office, which you can search for online. If you find a work from like 1985 without a notice and without registration, it's actually in the public domain. Many high school and college yearbooks, for instance, were never registered and don't include copyright notices. So you can use old photos of your parents in your music videos for free, baby! There are a bunch of other quirks to copyright law, too. Freedom of panorama protects the ability to photograph and even profit from photographic or artistic replications of copyrighted architectural designs, but not 3D artwork. So I could try to profit from this photo, but not this one. De minimis exceptions allow protection for works that minimally include other copyrighted works. So this photo, which includes the copyrighted sculpture Spoonbridge and Cherry in the distance, would be okay. But if I cropped it and tried to make money from just this, that would not be okay because the copyrighted sculpture becomes the center of the new work. Also, 3D artwork has some extra weird rules about what qualifies as publication. For a sculpture to qualify as published up until 1978, it must have been placed in a public place where people could potentially make copies of it, like take photos of it or sculpt their own versions of it. To qualify as published between 1978 and 1989, tangible copies of the sculpture had to have been sold to the public, and the work had to have been published without a copyright notice, like on a little placard or something nearby. Anyway, copyright in the US is messy and cool, but it's also pretty much any time copyright terms have been extended in history, it's because an industry or corporation like Disney or the American recording industry have successfully lobbied to protect their own interests. Today, the copyright term is 70 years after the author's death. If I publish a book today and I die when I'm 85, that book will not be in the public domain until 2149 under current law. Not to be all like reject modernity, embrace tradition, but we should absolutely return to the first US copyright protection term of 14 years from publication plus the possibility to renew for 14 more years for a maximum of 28 years. Imagine if instead of The Great Gatsby coming into the public domain this year, everything from 1992 and before was now free for everyone in the world to share, build upon, and profit from. Thank you. All right.
Very fun, Collin. I feel like I was saying earlier when you showed this presentation to me, I feel like I learned all this stuff like circa like our second date. Like you're just You're very passionate about copyright. I feel like I knew a lot of it already, but I did still learn some new things, which is fun.
It is, you know what? It's the only interesting kind of law.
That I agree. I could get behind that. Also, the pictures of your parents, shout out to Alka and Kent, are excellent. And if you ever produce like an indie album, you should definitely make those the album cover.
I agree with that. I think there's these were the only yearbook photos of them I could find. I see Kent's in the chat here. Thanks, Kent.
Christmas shoes. I also noted that one. I was like, oh, we love Christmas shoes. Also, I like that your example at the end was the Breakfast Club. I'm like, I think the Breakfast Club should actually just be banned from the public domain.
Oh, it should be
Forever.
permanently copyrighted.
Yeah, permanently copyrighted. No one should experience that.
You know what?
No one should remake it. No one should do anything with it.
I've never seen
Not a
the
fan of the
Breakfast
Breakfast
Club,
Club.
but I think I agree with you. All right, awesome. Up next, we have Hallie Ayres. Let's get you on the screen here, Hallie.
Cool. Yeah, let me just share my screen. Okay. Okay. You see it?
Up here for you.
Okay.
All right. Break a
Is that okay? Cool. Yeah. Okay. So the year is 2018, and the football club is FC Rostov, based out of Rostov-on-Don, Russia. Having lost their most recent home game, a fan decided to bring what he considered to be a lucky charm to the next game. Rostov won 4-0, the highest number of goals they scored in a single game that entire season. Fans on social media were quick to attribute the win to the magic properties of the carpet, so the club invited the carpet and its owner to their training base, which eventually led to the production of a limited edition Lucky Carpet kit. The carpet hype even prompted the official Twitter account of the team against whom Rostov won to accuse Rostov of some flying carpet magic, drawing an allusion to Aladdin's magic carpet. The magic carpet, of course, has its own enchanted history. In 1001 Nights, Prince Hussein's magic carpet is described as being capable to transport him anywhere instantaneously, no matter how physically distant the destination may be. The ancient King Solomon had a flying carpet gifted to him by the Queen of Sheba that allowed Solomon to travel throughout his kingdom at extraordinary speeds. He was also able to simply shake the carpet, and allegedly 40,000 of his enemies would collapse over dead. Though that instance is perhaps the earliest mention of the flying carpet used in the service of warfare, 13th century scrolls found near the Caspian Sea in Iran detail more of its military history. In the early 1200s, Persian Prince Behrouz commanded 4 squadrons of an airborne flying carpet cavalry against the neighboring Shah. After a series of anti-flying carpet propaganda campaigns by various rulers within the region, the mode of transportation became widely associated with rogue dissidents and traveling thieves, until Genghis Khan completely outlawed them out of spite due to a comment from a soldier that the flying carpet was more agile than the Mongolian steppe pony. He also had that soldier beheaded and used his skull as a drinking cup. In the modern era, magic carpets are attributed with more than just soccer victories. 2 different government-sponsored operations have taken the name Operation Magic Carpet. In the U.S., Operation Magic Carpet was a post-World War II campaign to repatriate over 8 million American military personnel. From October 1945 through September 1946, the U.S. transported over 400,000 troops per month back from the European, Pacific, and Asian theaters of war. Between 1949 and 1950, Operation Magic Carpet was an initiative by the Israeli government to airlift nearly 50,000 Yemenite Jews from Yemen, Aden, Saudi Arabia, and Eritrea as they continued to colonize Palestine. In 2016, the U.S. Navy introduced new technology to simplify the landing process of planes aboard aircraft carriers and named it with the acronym Magic Carpet. The military connections don't stop there, as a Swedish engineer recently constructed a 1-person drone that can hover several feet off the ground, and, to bring everything full circle, the engineering team credited with implementing the flying carpet effect in Broadway's Aladdin specializes in drone technology, prompting curious theatergoers to speculate that the theatrics employ a drone structure similar to that designed by the Swede. So, is it possible to reconcile the magic carpet's militarized connotations with those of a light-hearted lucky charm? One potential solution is the Afghan war rug phenomenon. After the Soviet invasion in 1979, rug weavers in Afghanistan began incorporating the material realities of war into their carpet designs, producing objects that didn't serve to glorify war-torn landscapes, but rather to simply claim ownership over the representation of a specific militarized reality. As the technology of warfare has developed, the rugs have served as a history of imperial violence within a region. Even in the case of recent woven depictions of drones, the carpets retain a transcendent quality by allowing the victims of such surveillance to flip the script and become their own beholders. If magic is defined as the apparent ability to influence the course of events through supernatural forces, these rugs are nothing short of a crystal ball, serving to instantaneously transport their viewers to a reality that previously seemed far, far away. Cool. That's it.
Thank you so much, Hallie.
Amazing. Thank you. That was so interesting. I really, really cool, and I love the way that it all tied together.
I love encountering projects that I know nothing about before this. So thank you.
Yeah. I feel like it could have been like a little mini paper, which I loved. I feel like that's your dream for FYI, is just people presenting their own little mini academic papers.
Awesome. Up next, we have Elise Durand. Hi, Elyse.
Hello, how's it going?
That's all right. How are you doing?
You know, pretty jaunty. I'm about to share my deepest fear, so feeling good about that. Hello, fellow anxiety-ridden wildebeests. Can I interest you in a new impending disaster to add to your prefrontal cortex? It all starts with why I moved to New York City. I grew up in this here bioregion, #UpperLeftUSA, as plastered upon every Subaru en route to the national forests, and I loved it. I dreamed of one day having an apartment in Seattle, dinner in the Space Needle, weekends kayaking in the Puget Sound, but all of that changed. Why? Well, life goals and stuff, but mainly the knowledge of what lies beneath the picturesque, moss-coated landscape of the Pacific Northwest. There lies imminent disaster, devastation that occurs infrequently enough to leave our memories and prove an illusion of safety for the 15 million inhabitants of the Pacific Northwest. So what is going on, and what do we know about it? Running nearly 1,000 kilometers long from Camp Mendocino, California, up to the southern tip of British Columbia, lies a fault line. The slow convergence of two tectonic plates, the Juan de Fuca plate, which is currently scooching itself underneath the North American plate at a rate of 1.5 inches per year. Eventually, this pressure will prove unbearable and trigger a massive earthquake. The North American plate will rise up to 6 feet in the air and rebound up to 30 feet westward. This megathrust earthquake, which will have taken place in the Pacific Ocean offshore, will trigger a massive wave of water that will rise up and race towards both sides of the Pacific, devastating the vastly populated metro areas of Portland, Seattle, and Vancouver. So let's not enter a spiral sequence of anxiety about the 1 in 3 chances that a full rupture will occur in the next 50 years, and instead relish in the spectacular combustion of scholarly disciplines that resulted in this lethal discovery. There is this beautiful, haunting landscape freckled across the PNW coastline, dubiously titled Ghost Forests, cedar trees standing long past in the waters. For eons, it was presumed that these trees died slowly as a result of slothful rising tides. This was accepted for truth after other area disasters were ruled out. But this did not satiate the powerful dendrochronology squad of Brian Atwater and David Yamaguchi. They spent a saga investigating each tree ring to uncover that all of the trees perished at the exact same time. We are reaching the point in the episode where this queen is realizing that this doofus might actually be right. Let's zoom on over to Japan. Remember when I said this earthquake will not only decimate the grounds on which Seattle, Portland, Vancouver stand on, but will also send a tsunami to both Pacific shorelines? Japan has kept near immaculate records of seismic activity since 599 AD. They understand the transactional relationship of earthquakes to tsunamis. You get a shake, you get a splash. So, January 26th, 1700 comes along. Aquarius season, so there's a margin for weird. But a 600-mile-long wave rolled into town one morn, and they were flabbergasted. Nothing was registering on their seismographs. Earthquake Twitter was silent. Trying not to dwell on it too much, they gave it the Baudelaire treatment and called it an orphan tsunami. Speaking of stories, this earthquake has one. Not only a story, it has a whole-ass myth cycle. The Pacific Northwest, like all of the land in the America before the occupation, is home to indigenous folk who carry a rich legacy of oral history. There's some 40 collected legends from tribal communities all across the coast. In addition to shared motifs, the ones that they were able to date all came from that very Aquarius season of 1700. The Yurok Nation in Northern California warned of earthquake, a figure with heavy feet who would race along the coast, rattling the ground and indenting the earth so water would come rushing in. In Washington, the Haw people warned of a violent fight between Thunderbird and Whale. Their tussling uprooted trees and rattled the mountains. Worst of all, it sent the ocean into motion and devastated their lands. And at the tip of the fault line, the New Chalnuth people of Vancouver Island warned of a clumsy young man who accidentally kicked a drum, infecting him with earthquake foot. You know the rest. White settlers occupied this land without consideration of their stories or, frankly, anything else. And the Northwest seemed a very docile place. That is, until you recall that the max magnitude of an earthquake is inversely proportional to their seismic frequency. So you throw all this data into a pot, and you dish out the following. The last megathrust earthquake with an estimated 9.0 magnitude on the Richter scale occurred on January 25th, 1700. This scientific marvel resulted in an influx of research to unearth the complete works of the Cascadia subduction zone abridged. Here we go. There have been 41 subduction zone earthquakes over the last 10,000 years. You divide 10,000 by 41 and get 243, which is roughly the recurring interval of earthquakes. Of course, this is an estimate because we all know that geology is quirky and extremely difficult to make precise estimations. But what we do know is that we are exactly 321 years, 1 month, and 2 days into an average 243-year cycle. We are overdue. Thank you.
Quirky.
Geology's quirky.
This is, I think, thank you so much for this, Elise. I think you're the first person who's done like a geology one of these in 9 of these now. And what a one it was.
It was very good. We're currently watching Twin Peaks right now for the first time, and I feel like that just there's the spookiness of the Pacific Northwest. It's really just overdue for a giant earthquake. Being from the Bay Area, I feel like I can relate to this. Different fault, but same overdue for a giant earthquake.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Up next, we have Aaron Linker. Hey, Aaron.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
That was a great presentation. So mine is on a little factoid that I found out recently, that Japan has a 99% conviction rate. I didn't know this before, and so I want to know why. So first of all, it's not as if Japan is some like massive incarceratory power, like they're not putting away tons and tons of people into jail. This is a graph of incarceration rate per 100,000 people. You can see the US up here has 639 prisoners per 100,000, and Japan is all the way down here with 39 per 100,000. So they're not some massive prison state, although they are probably running at capacity. They're overflowing a little bit. The US is as well. And you can see the incarceration rate in Japan has gone down since the 1950s, spiking again briefly in 2005, but then descending again. So what are some of the, so first of all, what is a conviction rate? A conviction rate is the number of convictions divided by the number of cases brought to the court. So this is the number of people found guilty out of the number of cases brought to trial. So again, Japan's is 99%. Something's going on. So first of all, prosecutors in Japan bring less cases to trial than in other countries. For this presentation, I relied a lot on interviews with Mirai Toshikuni and Muraoka Keiichi, who are veteran legal scholars in Japan. And they said a couple of things. First of all, that Japan adheres to the idea of precision justice, whereby prosecuting lawyers are under strict judicial requirements to thoroughly investigate cases to make them nearly airtight. Because of that, public prosecutors typically concentrate on suits where conviction is almost guaranteed, leading to the suspension of around 60% of criminal cases in Japan without an indictment. So 60% of the cases that prosecutors receive are dismissed without going to trial because there's just not enough overwhelming evidence that the prosecutors feel that they are guaranteed a guilty verdict. Muraoka says that the reason that some 60% of cases are deferred is because public prosecutors are overly concerned about losing a case and tarnishing their reputation. Prosecutors are very concerned with getting a guilty verdict to the point that if a defendant is found not guilty, it's very likely the prosecutor will appeal the case to a higher court to secure a conviction. So to understand some more of why this is happening, we can sort of chart the history of Japan's legal system. It underwent a rapid transformation after 1868 during the Meiji Restoration. It adopted a semi-inquisitorial system whereby the judge was primarily responsible for questioning witnesses. And the power of the state over the proceedings was so great that the prosecuting attorney would actually sit behind the bench next to the judge over and above the defense and the defendant. This was a system in place until after World War II, when the Japanese constitutions and systems of law were rewritten with American influence. And this is when Japan adopted structures closer to the American adversarial system, where the judge acts more as a neutral third party among two opposing sides, the prosecution and the defense. But some of the legacy of the Meiji era system is still in place. Judges in Japan still take a more proactive role in the courtroom compared to, say, an American court. They will question witnesses, they will analyze evidence, they will counter the witnesses and, point out inconsistencies in their testimony, all of that. And you can see this in the video game Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. It's a video game that I played before. I would recommend. It's based on the law, and you'll see that the judge in this game takes a more active role in the court. That's part of the reason I found out about this in the first place. There's the judge. A lot of critics feel that the judges don't operate enough on the principle of innocent until proven guilty, because if a case actually gets brought to court, most assume that a guilty verdict is almost assured. And there have been a lot of outcry in the last 15, 20 years, because people have been saying that otherwise innocent people have gone to jail because of the overwhelming power of the prosecution. So those are some of the reasons why Japan's conviction rate is 99%. Also worth mentioning is that most countries have a conviction rate of around 90% or more, but still, Japan's is exceptional for that reason. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Do you have a, well, wait, I'll save my question for the end, but thank you so much for that.
Super interesting.
Give me a quick pitch for Ace Attorney while you're here.
It's super dramatic. Whenever you raise an objection, the guy goes, "Objection!" And the prosecutors and the defense are these really animated characters, and it's pretty funny. I think it's a pretty good game.
So you like prepare your case and then argue the case during the game?
Yeah, so you gather evidence, and then you question witnesses, and you present evidence when the witness has a contradiction in their testimony. And yeah, it's pretty good.
Someone made a video game out of mock trial.
Yes, exactly.
Very nerdy. I love
it. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Thank you.
Up next, I think we are jumping over to Rob. Hey, Rob, you here?
Yeah. How are we doing?
We're doing okay.
All right. Yeah. I'm really worried about the Pacific Fault, and I saw the comment about rape cases in Japan, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds stressful and annoying and not good at all. But yeah, I'll get started here.
Take it away.
All right. So, how to make money without money. Presentation by me, Robert Barbeau of Beautiful Beard Grain Farm. So this is essentially the story of how I went from dealing with $100 a year in my farming experience to about $10,000 to $100,000 a year. I'm not actually making the money, but I'm, dealing with it. So here we go. First off, I grew up in South Minneapolis with my dad being the sole provider. It wasn't working because he was confused when the architectural market crashed. And then there was a whole while where my family had no money, and I have 3 brothers, so a family of 6. Yeah, there was a lot going on in that time period, but I got good grades, made it to school, got a full scholarship. But then I decided I wanted to farm, and the last time anyone in my family owned land was late 1960s, and there's no land in the family for me. So, to be clear and blunt, I suck with money, and I'm definitely too generous to give to myself and others. So, first off, you need some cold hard inspiration to get where you want to be. Make a plan for making money and by selling something you can make or do for cheap. I like the idea of growing plants because the sun and the air and a lot of water is free. This is where the fun comes in. Pour what little money you have into your weird, crazy adventures. They're probably for a reason. Now come up with a plan and stick to that plan, doggedly, persistently, deterministically, as in not determinedly, but it's going to happen. Because if you keep going and working on a survival budget, working a job or two, suckling at the government teat, whatever it takes to stay afloat, you're going to be able to keep sticking to the plan. Now, here's what's going to be important. General Eisenhower, he has this famous quote, I love to misphrase and misparaphrase, that says, I hate plans. Plans are worthless, but planning is essential. And the point of that to me is that if you're working hard at one thing and you're not ready to deal with changing situations, you're going to get left behind. You're not going to make that money. You're not going to get ahead. So keep track of what you're doing, how you're doing it every dang day. Then keep your chin up and get ready to move on any opportunity that presents itself. Then you got to give up on the plan. Your first attempt, second attempt, and third attempt may not have worked. That means it's time to do something different. Keeping your plan in mind, you got to get to think of all the ways it hasn't worked and brainstorm about 1,000 ways it could work. Because if you've got this far with a plan, but you keep reaching barricades, barriers, something's going to change. If you've gotten this far with a plan, it means you've got an inkling of success, which is a good thing, because an inkling of success can be translated into a lot of success, or so they tell me. So let's say the plan works out just a little bit, and you make $1, but it costs you $2 to make that $1. Well, this is where you got to start figuring out and branching out and diversifying, solidifying what you got. Because this whole time, if you've been keeping track of what you did, why you did it, how you did it, you can go back in time, use that information to change your future outcomes. And once you've got that information kicking around in your brain for a good long time, and you've tried this plan out for years and years, you can get money moving. This is definitely not the worst part, to shamelessly ask for capital, but it's hard. I acknowledge that. I'm going to guess that if you're listening, you want to make money without money. That's kind of a given to you. But plans are just a plan, even if you've made a dime, whether or not you've made a dime. Gathering startup funds is might seem like the first step, but truly it's the last step of this process. You see, until your plan is proven, banks, investors, friends, family, no one's going to go give you the time of day. They're going to ignore you 100% of the time, unless, of course, you have assets and a lot of money, and this presentation isn't directed to you. But all that work running on through these plans, it's also you can prove to anyone but yourself that this is a worthwhile project. Because I believe if you're putting this much of yourself into a project like this, you believe it's worthwhile. You got to persuade the others. But even then, banks won't listen to someone living paycheck to paycheck. That's what I've learned. You're going to save up your funds. You might rack up $100, $1,000, $10,000. Yeah, that's easy on unemployment compensation for sure. But you probably know a lot of people with a bit of extra cash. If you believe in your plan, you've got to be able to make others believe in your plan, because your plan to make money isn't just about you. We live in a society. Once your plan is persuasive, anyone will take a look and throw money at it. That's kind of the deal with business in America, as far as I can tell. But before you go to the banker, be sure to ask for a lot of review, a lot of opinions on how you get this stuff done, because you're going to have to write a 50-page document that describes who, what, how, where, and why you're making money. Then you've got to do the plan. You got to go out and just start running around, making things happen. You got to send out, like I did, about 100, 150, 200, 1,000 cold calls, emails, and wait for those sweet, sweet responses that make it all worth it. The more you can show the banks and investors that your plan has already worked, the better shot at financing your plan is going to be in the long run. And thus the moral is that good ideas take a lot of work to make money. You don't become a thousandaire or a millionaire or billionaire overnight because your photos are nice and you have something written down. It takes a lot of time and patience. And at the same time, you got to be ready, because someone or something might open a door for you, and you got to be walking into the next one. And then, who knows? Maybe you'll deal with $1,000, $100,000 a year. We'll figure it out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rob. I just wanted to shower your choice of phrase just a bit-o with praises in there. I've never heard anyone say that before, and I love it.
Oh yeah, just a bit-o.
Just a little bit
Very
of.
good.
Yep. Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Up next, we have Alex Cina-Bernard. I'm going to add you to the stream. Hey, Alex.
Hi.
Hey.
So I'll go ahead and share my screen here.
Amazing. Take us out here.
All right, so my presentation is sort of a two-part presentation talking about games as interactive theater and why you should start making a game and some tools to help you get started. So first, my goal of tonight's talk, I want to first illustrate the games are a valid form of art by comparing them to theater. And then second, I want to point out a few tools that can be used for anybody watching to make their own games if you are inspired by the first part of the talk. So first, games as theater. So we can think of video games as a sort of interactive theater. I mean, you can consider, for example, the terms player, stage, and script. These have meanings both in theater and in video games. In games in particular, player, that's the person playing the game. Stage, that's the space where the game takes place. And then script is sort of the instructions to the different entities within the game. And I think these sort of are maybe related to the meaning of these terms in theater, where, you know, player could be like an actor. The stage is sort of the set where, you know, the play takes place, and your script contains all your dialogue and instructions to actors and all that. A disclaimer here, I'm not actually like an actor or anything, so maybe I'm out of my zone of expertise here. But I think the comparison is interesting nonetheless. So yeah, we can consider the gamer here in this case as sort of a hybrid actor / audience member. And in particular, if a gamer is live streaming on Twitch or something, their gameplay, then the people watching the stream are also kind of like audience members of a play. So if we consider interactive theater from a start, there's two examples I found here in a paper that was comparing video games and theater. There's Tony and Tina's Wedding and Grandma Sylvia's Funeral. These are both sort of interactive theater experiences where they sort of simulate a funeral or simulate a wedding that, you know, the audience members can participate in. And I think that's interesting. I think that there's something that's almost game-like in there, or where there could be video games that do this similar or same thing. Then we can look at games too. Like there's games like Heavy Rain, this Valhalla game, Doki Doki Literature Club, and really any kind of role-playing game. And these all involve the player sort of taking on a distinct role in the world of the game and participating and advancing the story. And then there are other examples that sort of blur the lines a little bit more between games and theater, like, you know, host your own murder mystery games, choose your own adventure books, tabletop role-playing games, and escape rooms. I think these are all kind of interesting areas to look at in the sort of overlap of games and theater. So now part two, assuming you are somewhat inspired by that comparison between games and theater, we can look into how to make some games. So right now is a perfect time to learn how to, you know, to play more and to make more video games because the game making tools are more accessible than ever before. We have more people from more demographics making more different kinds of games. This is really good because it's not just, you know, first person shooters made by, you know, your standard, you know, stereotypical programmer type. So yeah, I'd encourage everybody to try out some games from outside of the mainstream games industry. And if you're even a little bit interested, I'd encourage you to try to make a game. And, you know, just as a spot where you can sort of find more of these weird indie games, you can check out itch.io. That's, you know, where I find a lot of cool little games. And now for tools to help with making games, there's this tool called Twine that I've used a little bit for making like hypertext link clicking story-based games, kind of like Choose Your Own Adventure. It gives you sort of like a flow chart where you have passages of text and links you can click to go to other passages of text, so it's really easy and intuitive to put things together that way. Another tool is called Renpi. This is a free tool for making like visual novels and dating simulator type games. It's got a super simple scripting language that almost looks like the script for you know, a play or something. And if you want, you could use like Python or whatever if you know it to extend the behavior of the game. And then another tool out there, and I actually highly recommend this one if you want to, your first foray into game making, is called Bitsy, because you don't need to know any kind of coding or programming to use it, and all the tools you need to make all the art and everything for the game is all sort of packaged in one little website, and then it spits out a like a web page out the other end that runs your game for you, and it's really super convenient and easy to get started. Or pick whatever tool you want. I've heard great things about Game Maker Studio 2, although I haven't used it myself, and I know it does cost some money to get a license to use it. Same with RPG Maker VX6, but these 3 game engines here, Unity, Unreal, and Godot, they're all really complicated. So, there's going to be some, maybe it'll take a bit of work to get started with that, but they're all freely available in some way to make professional quality games if you want. So yeah, for further reading and inspiration about this topic, I kind of read these 2 great books, Play Like a Feminist by Shira Chess and Rise of the Video Game Zinesters by Anna Anthropy. In fact, I really wanted to quote a passage of text from this Rise of the Video Game Zinesters, but when I test read it, it took about 3.5 minutes to read, so that would be almost all my presentation. So I decided to set that aside, and I encourage you to read it on your own time if you are interested. So yeah, good luck. I hope you can find more games to play from outside the mainstream gaming industry. And if you want to create games, I wish you the best of luck in joining me in this journey of learning how to make video games. All right, thank you.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you so much.
I love the question from my mom that came up in the chat saying, "What is a dating simulator?" What is it? We might need to say that in the Q&A.
Yeah, I can talk about that in the Q&A for sure. Yeah.
Sounds good.
I might also ask you for some itch.io game recs during the Q&A too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Awesome. I just want to mention to everybody that if tonight has been inspiring to you, not just in terms of making your own games, but also in terms of doing your own 4-minute presentation, anyone is welcome to shoot me an email to get on the list for this show. You can just email me at Collin, 2 L's, at thetanknyc.org, and we'll get you on the list for the next one of these, which will probably be in, 2 months from now?
April?
That's the one, April. Yeah, that's the guy. Cool. So feel free to email me if you are interested in that. All right, we have 3 more presentations for you this evening. Up next is Kev Berry. Let's see, where's Kev? There's Kev.
I thought I had one more to go. Okay, let's do it. All right. Hold on, I'm setting my timer. I'm setting my timer. Hold on. Okay. Okay, hold on. Ready? Share screen. Chrome tab. Okay. Am I up?
Yes, you're up.
Okay, fabulous. All right, starting my clock. Hi, everyone. I'm Kev Berry. Happy to be here. I threw this together today very quickly, and I don't have a script or any notes in front of me, so let's see what happens. My niche topic is, of course, gay things. This is a bold, unique, delectable, caring, and most of all, gay presentation, okay, by me at Kev-Berry on Venmo. Welcome. First of all, what is gay? That's the prime flag. Define gay. Gay is when, well, it can be a few things. Gay can be when the boy likes the boy. Gay can be when the girl likes the girl. Gay can be anything, and that's anything that's not straight. And straight is when the cisgender straight man likes the cisgender straight woman. Love is love. The exception to this rule. But wait, what about, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I'm a cisgender gay man and I love Emmy Award nominated star of Crossing Jordan, Catherine Hahn. Am I still gay? Is this permissible? Good news. To love Catherine Hahn is to be gay. All right, let's keep going. This Prezi is this is my first time using Prezi. This is bizarre. The first gay thing. There are 3 gay things I'll be talking about. One of them is porn. Some facts about gay porn. There are different types. There is porn where it's twinks and twinks doing sex. There's porn where it's scary bears and scary bears doing sex. And there's porn where it's twinks and scary bears doing sex together. There are no other options. Catherine Hahn has never appeared in gay porn, but she has appeared in Mrs. Fletcher, which is similar if you are me. Research. I'm writing a play about gay porn, so I have a bookmark folder for porn that I like to watch for non-research reasons, and a folder for porn that has wild setups or dialogue. A recent one that I liked was a Ouija board of a guy trying to contact his dead ex-boyfriend. This image on the screen is a table of some sort of school schedule that I didn't have the time or energy to delete because I put this together fast and furious this Tuesday, March 2nd at 8:30 p.m. Through the Tank. I'm also writing a play that I want Catherine Hahn to be in. Things that I learned while I was doing my research. Here's some facts about Catherine Hahn. Her husband is named Ethan. That's him. She's got 2 kids. She's lived in LA for years. She's lived in LA for years. She has been an A-lister for a long time, and we owe her respect. How about that? Rules of her that I I put this together so quickly. Look at this grammar. Roles of her I love. Oh my God, I loved her as Helen and Anchorman. The titular Mrs. Fletcher. Really worth a watch if you haven't. She voices Doc Ock in Into the Spider-Verse, and she voices Paige on Central Park. I never saw her in Boeing. This is a play she was in 2008 with Mark Rylance. I was 15. I wasn't going to see plays by myself then, let alone Boeing. What the hell is Boeing? That's me when I was 15 with Tony Award winner Alice Ripley. I didn't know who Catherine Hahn was when I was 15. I blame myself for not knowing back then and missing her play this role. She was on Broadway. It's the only time she's ever been on Broadway. Let me check my time. Oh God, a minute and a half. Jesus. The second gay thing. Show us. The second, well, what is it? It is simply this, this photo of Rihanna at the Met Gala. Why this Prezi moves too fucking slow for me? Because why is this on the list of gay things that I didn't have any interest in? Well, did you see the look? Do I need to remind you? Tragedy. Very sad news. As far as I can tell, Catherine Hahn has never been to the Met Gala, which makes me want to absolutely sue Anna Wintour. And you know what? I just might. See you on the court, Anna. The third and final gay thing. Third gay thing. It's a place. The third gay thing is Fire Island. And this is a checklist of things I would like to do with Catherine Hahn. Call it my Hahn bingo card, if you will. Cry over Catherine Hahn. I've cried over her performances. I want her to be my prom date. I want to ask her about Parks and Rec. Nothing but respect for my Jennifer Barkley. I want to get dinner with her. I want to meet her. I want to go to a drag show with her. I want to present her an award of some sort. I want to grab a slice of pizza and sit in the park with her, probably Madison Square Park. I want to do a couple's photo shoot with her in Disney where we both have those matching groom Disney ears, the Mickey ears on. I want her to take her to my prom again. I want to get dinner with her again. I want to invite her to my home. I want to run into her in Fire Island and give her a big hug. I want to hold hands with her. There she is, Jennifer Barkley. And that's, oh wait, here's the finale. I thought that was it. In conclusion, oh God, there's my fucking timer. Catherine Hahn has been working so hard for so many years and is only just now getting the widespread recognition she deserves. She has been a reliable stalwart for so long, and she deserves everything because she is God's precious cargo. There she is. Well, you may think it's the Hahn Renaissance now, but baby, if you've been living through the Hahn Renaissance, if only you would have opened your eyes to see. If only, and then you could have seen and been lucky, like all of us, to be living the Hahn-assance right alongside her and right alongside her devoted fans. I hope you learned a lot about what it means to be gay today because of this special presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, I was really laughing through that whole thing. I'm glad we were not accidentally unmuted.
I learned so much,
I learned a lot.
Kev. I wanna say that I watched Mrs. Fletcher. It did feel like half of a TV show, but Catherine Hahn was perfect in it.
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna take you out now. Goodbye, Kev. I've assassinated Kev now. Up next, we have Abby Mahler, and then Carinn and Candelaria will be last, but let's pop Abby up on the screen here. Hey, Abby.
Oh, okay. I got the time wrong, and so therefore I did not finish my script. Can't wait to see how this goes. All right. Don't show these tips again. Let's share that screen. No, you're good. You're so good. Okay. So today we're talking about Criminal Minds. I'm going to set my timer as well for a minute. I know we all have feelings about Criminal Minds. I do. Let's talk about it. timer set. What is Criminal Minds? Now, Criminal Minds is a show about the behavioral analysis unit of the FBI. It's tasked with solving violent crimes perpetrated by unknown persons. It is based on a real unit in the FBI where this type of criminal profiling was originally conceived. Each episode follows a similar structure, which we love for a procedural. It's quite literally in the name. You got your cold open on a crime, cut to the FBI where they debrief, and then they fly on a not real private jet to the place where they assist the local law enforcement and apprehension. Drama, of course, ensues. Manny Patinkin was in it briefly, and that's kind of fun. All right. What is propaganda? It's a portmanteau of cop and propaganda, and to quote directly from Wikipedia, formatting and all, it's a phenomenon in which news media and other social institutions promote celebrity portrayals of police officers with the intent of swaying public opinion for the benefit of police departments and law enforcement. So it flatters police officers, it makes them seem both more heroic and more in danger at the same time, which makes the public just think that they're so, they sacrifice and all of the bad things they do is just because they have such a dangerous job. Oh my God, so sad. So why am I qualified to talk about this? I've seen Criminal Minds season 1 through 12 so many times. They were the only ones that were on Netflix between 2015 and 2021, and it was my depression show. I've also read a lot of true crime books and listened to many true crime podcasts, and not just the kinds that tell the stories. Like, I listen to the primary sources of, like, the people who worked on the crimes, from, like, the investigators to the law enforcement to the lawyers to the victims and those adjacent to it. Also, I have a degree in conflict resolution and human behavior, so these things interest me. Why do we like cop shows overall, like as humans? Well, we love escapism, first of all. It's predictable. We love a repetitive narrative. It doesn't have to be watched in order, which is very handy in this day and age. If only Netflix had a shuffle button. We would also, like, the thing that's most important to me is that we want to believe that somebody is coming to help us. The real world is shitty and unjust, and bad things really do happen to people. So giving people a sense of power over inherently disempowering situations is just like a nice feeling. I think we could all assume what that feels like right now. Can't imagine why. First things first, there are still a lot of bad things about this show. While you can be a profiler, it's nothing like the show. Criminal psychologist jobs are far less glamorous, and it's like 90% desk work. I was gonna put more actual quotes in here that were like really bad. One of them is, "The FBI isn't here to frame people." Can't imagine. No, never done that in their whole lives. Anyway, Garcia's their tech analyst, and she can literally do anything in a moment's notice. She searches databases that I know for a fact do not exist. There are also like other nigh unbelievable or predictable television follies. They start storylines and just drop them. There are no gay people, including Garcia, apparently. And also there's so much money. They have a jet. Also, season 15 does not count because it's just fan service. All right. So other things that are bad, they still use monster language about unsubs. The unsubs are the people who are perpetrating the crimes. I think this was done intentionally to broaden the audience. I think this is specifically bad for this specific show because it is specifically dehumanizing, and it goes against the things that Criminal Minds does super well, which is providing understandings for antisocial behaviors. The worst thing that they do in Criminal Minds is undeniably the episodes that focus on the characters' personal lives or when they involve the profilers in the crime. This is propaganda. No cop has ever been targeted by a serial killer, but all the members of the BAU have. I only have 40 seconds. Oh no. So let's keep going. Now for the good things. Oh my God, #girlbosses. There are so many people of different kinds of backgrounds on this show, and that's pretty uncommon for like syndicated television shows. Aisha Tyler is on it and did a really good job directing an episode this year. 24 seconds. Okay, other good things. The human behavior shit is super spot on because it's written by actual profilers. Clearly shows how profilers use known information to make educated inferences about things, about the people who committed the crimes. It focuses on different types of antisocial behavior. It uses the actual language and like understands how we make these inferences. It like is all of the right things. And cop shows are notorious for taking science and twisting it into ways that actually hinder real justice in our country. Okay, other good things. I am out of time, and so we'll just do really quick. They're specifically a team, and it's exemplified all the more by the variety of expertise because profiling is a specifically interdisciplinary practice, which I love. And it also strives to convey trauma on all sides of the crime. And I think that we often blow over trauma in crimes. If you want to see one specific episode to do this, it's season 3, episode 18, called The Crossing. Yeah, that's my little that's my podcast. Wait, this is not a podcast. Good Lord, we're doing great, folks.
Podcast. I don't know. It's kind of a podcast.
There's a world where I could be a podcast, I think.
I love that. I watched so much Criminal Minds in high school. My brother and I used to watch it together, and we would actually switch, like stop watching the episode if it wasn't like fucked up enough. We were like, this murder is not disturbing enough. Like skip. Next one.
They did go add
Mom.
13 through 15 to Hulu, which is why I was thinking about this, because personally I think season 13 was the best episode, was the best season overall. Like, they had really interesting storylines. They just really made me think, you know?
So I'll have to go back to it. I'll have to check it out.
I agree, Abby, as a fellow Abby, please let Garcia be gay. We would love to see it.
It's wild that she looks so gay. It's absolutely obscene that she's not gay.
The actress is gay. No, a shame.
Thank you so much, Abby. All right, folks, we're on the very last presentation of the evening here, after which point we have the Q&A section. So if you have any questions for any of the presenters, feel free to drop those in the chat after Carinn's presentation. But right now, here's Carinn Candelaria.
Hi.
Hi, Carinn.
Hello. We'll go ahead and share this application window.
Perfect.
Go for it.
There you are.
Look okay?
All right.
Great. Hi, I'm Carinn. I'm Californian. Northern Californian. I always have to specify, God forbid somebody mistakes me for someone from SoCal. This state, like this country, is full of arbitrary pride. Southern California, Northern California, and then there is Northern California. This is a place even Californians forget about. It's rugged, it's beautiful, and its counties make up a movement which has been trying to secede from our Golden State since 1852. They've dubbed
Carinn,
themselves...
you can't see your presentation.
Are you kidding me? Okay, what do you see?
Okay, we can see it now. We can see the math now. I think you just need to present.
Okay.
It was... it's just saying click to exit full screen.
All right, that's interesting. Or should I just do these little guys?
Yeah, you can just do those little guys.
This works.
Does that make it any bigger? Or
Oh, that does make it.
There we go. There we go.
I'll try it one more time. Well, that doesn't do anything.
That makes it a little bigger.
That does make it a little bigger.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Totally fine.
Okay, that'll be fine. All right, so here, this is California. That is where I'm from. I am from Northern California, not Southern California. This is Northern California. What Californians forget about, which is beautiful, rugged, and it makes up a group of counties that have been trying to secede since 1852. They've dubbed themselves the State of Jefferson. This movement became legendary thanks to Gilbert Gable, who liked to refer to himself as the hick mayor of the westernmost United States. He was, however, really an East Coast radio personality with a background in promotions. In 1935, Gable convinced Port Orford, Oregon, a town of 250 people, to actually municipalize and elect him to be their very first mayor. And it worked. They did it. He opened a mill, he got a gold mine, and he started a real estate company. So he had this fortune in natural resources, except what he didn't have were any of the roads to access them. Most roads at this time were made out of dirt or gravel, and wintertime made it really impossible to travel through them. So here is the same route, Route 99 in Southern California, and then on the right, that's the road in Northern California. So clearly this region was being totally neglected by the governments. So Gable teamed up with Californians to stick it to their neglecting governors and secede. So a meeting was called in Wairika, California, which would be the proposed capital of their new state, and they got to work just staging this stunt to secede. So they had a name, State of Jefferson. They had their own flag and state seal. This would be a mining pan with 2 X's, signifying they're double-crossed. And they even had a 29-page constitution. But Gable, remember, was a media mogul, and he wanted more. So they put out ads saying that the state of Jefferson would have no taxes on income, sales, or liquor. Instead, they draw their revenue from red light districts and gambling halls, which is Very cool. They had slogans like, "Our roads aren't passable, they're not even jackassable." Further, every Thursday, a group of Jeffersonians took their guns with them and closed the roads and passed out pamphlets to raise awareness for the secession. Again, these were all orchestrated stunts to raise awareness of their plan to secede. And it worked. National movie cameras came out to make a newsreel about this movement, and they instructed locals how to react, when to cheer, and they encouraged them to wear their Western regalia in front of the cameras. And it was all going really well. The newsreel was set to air on December 8th, 1941. But on December 7th, another territory vying for statehood faced tragedy and marked the beginning of the next World War. So any hopes of Jeffersonians becoming 49ers was squashed by the tragedy at Pearl Harbor. Ironically, it was the war effort that actually brought roads to northern counties. But in recent years, as California became a force against the 45th administration, Jeffersonians have felt the urge to get away from those kooks. And the movement actually made its way onto the ballot in 2020. But it didn't go anywhere. In reality, they can't go anywhere. They're stuck, like me, here in California. The region would be helpless without the kooks that are making up the rest of Californian. But Jeffersonians are rugged individualists who really just want to belong to something. And they, like their Jeffersonian forefathers, have been swept up by the sensationalizing of another East Coast media mogul claiming to make their counties great again. So my advice to Jeffersonians: try California life, enjoy the roads, embrace the Emerald Triangle, and despise SoCal. Thank you.
As a Northern Californianer, I'm here for despising SoCal. I will say that.
Thank you. Wonderful.
I'm a big fan of the Central Valley. That's
yes,
most of California I know.
Absolutely.
Stockton, Sacramento, Lodi
Yes.
a little bit.
Thank you.
Big Lodi stand.
Big fan of this one restaurant in Lodi.
Yeah. Yeah, really solid shout out.
Thanks, Lodi. Thank you, Carinn. Folks, we are now in the Q&A portion of our evening here, while our secret judge decides who our winners are going to be. So I'm going to scroll back up real quick through the comments here. I think that we have, Kev might still be here. Kev, there's a question for you here, and it is Catherine Hahn becoming big now because of WandaVision?
Yes, I'm on another meeting right now, but yes, Catherine Hahn is having her moment because of WandaVision.
Thank you.
That's all I
got. We had a question, I think, for Alex from Jennifer. This is, what is a dating simulator? Let me throw you in here, Alex.
Sure. So I'm not like a dating simulator expert, but what I know is that it's a sort of a genre of game that was first popularized in Japan, where you play a character who's kind of put in a situation. I mean, traditionally, your character would be some male high school student or something put in a situation where there's, dozens of similar aged high school women or girls to pursue as love interests. Although there has been a number of interesting games that subvert those sort of tropes. One of the more weird ones was called Hatoful Boyfriend, where you play as a pigeon and try to woo other pigeons.
Your pigeon wooing.
Awesome. And I was going to ask you too, if you had any good itch.io game recs.
Yeah, I've got a couple here. There's one called Cross Sneak Plus, which is a sort of a Y2K aesthetic puzzle game where you slide tiles around. It almost looks exactly like it should have come out on the Sega Dreamcast back in 1999, but it was made, just like a year or two ago. Then there's one, this is a modern game made for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It's called Micro Mages. You can find that on itch.io. It's super fun. Then there's one called Night of the Consumers, which is sort of a Quake-style retro first-person game, but you play as a worker in a supermarket, and you have to like get customers things that they need, and the customers are just horrible, and it's deliberately a very ugly-looking game. And then, yeah, if you can find the page for Anna Anthropy, most of the games that she makes are really cool as well. So, yeah.
Right. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
we have a question up here for Aaron, I believe. I'm going to pop you on here, Aaron. And there's two questions, actually. One was, what kind of cases are not being prosecuted in Japan? Is there a bias towards one type of case or another?
I think that the conviction rate largely refers to criminal cases. But basically, when it comes to whether they bring a case or not, it's entirely dependent on what the evidence looks like. If the prosecutor thinks that they have a really good chance of getting a conviction, then they'll prosecute it. And if not, then they won't. As far as like the type of case, I'm not as sure, but I think generally we're talking about criminal cases.
Cool. Do you know what the conviction rate is in the U.S.?
Yeah, I believe it's like in the 86-90 range.
Okay. I didn't realize that it was that high. I guess there's like a lot of time before trials happen. I know very little about the criminal justice system. The so-called criminal justice system.
I definitely learned a lot just researching this, so I was not as familiar before.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to bring on everybody now, in case anyone has any questions for one another.
Would you mind asking that discussion for the Senate state for me?
Oh, this is for Carinn.
Carinn?
Sorry about that. Carinn.
Hi.
So is there any, with the secession of the Jefferson state, would that be like kind of a Senate electoral college play?
No. well, originally it was like, it kind of just dealt with California. They've gone through a lot of different levels. Because back when it was like all just territory, it stayed within that. My parents are listening in the other room and I can hear my voice echo. And the movement was started by this guy who's basically the head of the Western version of the Ku Klux Klan. And it gained a lot of traction, and became a bill and was proposed, but then it was stopped because they were like, this is going to lead to a slave state in the Pacific Northwest. Today, it hasn't even like, I don't know. I don't know if it actually would ever, I don't know if the Electoral College would ever get involved because nobody takes them seriously enough. Like, they're just, yeah, they're just kind of diminished. Even like people who live in the state of Jefferson, it's still kind of a minority of people who like really are staunch believers. For most people, it's just like a fun little legend.
Just this fun little bit we do as a region where we're like, haha,
what if
we just left? Haha,
California secession, oh man.
But of course, the people who are passionate about it are really passionate about it.
Oh, of course.
One more question here. That's actually for Kev, who is no longer on the call here, but so I'll ask it of everyone. Anyone can answer it, but it's from Abby. What is your favorite Catherine Hahn role?
Herself.
I'm loving her in WandaVision. I think she's fantastic.
I will play maybe okay.
I don't remember. I feel like there's something that I love Catherine Hahn from, and I don't remember what it is now. And she is very good in Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So we got one more question in the chat too.
One more question. This is for Hallie. What was the inspiration for the magic carpet presentation?
Well, yeah, sorry. Let me just turn on my camera. It was actually because I learned about the soccer team, the Russian soccer team. And I was like, that's funny. And then just spiraled out of control.
I love when like knowledge is gained
happens.
that way. That's perfect. Amazing. All right. Well, our secret judge is now here to give our 3 awards. It's
surprise.
It's frequent 4YI presenter and occasional co-host Mike Vicentes. Hey, Mike.
Hey there, Collin. Thanks for having me on for this great show.
Of course.
A lot of great presentations.
So what are our awards tonight?
Yeah, well, tonight I thought to commemorate two really great creators and artists that I appreciate. So one of the awards is for the most Lynchian presentation. As has been mentioned tonight, we've all been watching Twin Peaks, and so that's been really, really fresh in my memory. The other creator is Collin Knopp-Schwyn. So I'm awarding also the most Knopp-Schwynian presentation of the night.
Thanks. So who won the David Lynch one?
Yeah, excellent. So the winner of the Lynch Award would be Elyse. As Elyse acknowledged, that presentation really got at the spookiness of the Pacific Northwest and really felt incredibly fitting. Actually, the most, I think, Knopp-Schwynian presentation was the same presentation as it was the first geology 4AI we've had. Not going to do that, though, because we do need 2 winners. So I'm going to give that award instead to Alex because Collin's also passionate about theater and is the only person I know who's like talked academically about immersive theater. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Feels fitting.
Congratulations to you both. Thank you so much, Mike and Collin.
Guys.
Thank you so much, Elyse, for co-hosting.
Of course, happy to co-host.
And thank you all for presenting tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. These were such interesting presentations. I learned a lot.
Again, if anyone is interested in getting on the email list for the show, feel free to email me. We'll have another show at sometime 4YI10, some point in April probably. It's been such a joy to have you all here. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.